All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and the continuation of our RBT practice questions series, where we're going through another set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials. When you pass your exam, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. A behavior technician arranges 5 toys in front of a child and says, pick one to play with. After the child chooses a toy, the technician removes that toy and repeats the procedure with the remaining 4. This continues until all toys are ranked. What type of assessment is being used? So we're starting off with a relatively easy question, and we are determining what assessment is used here. What we know is the technician has 5 toys in front of the child. So let's say we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The technician said, pick one to play with. After the child chooses a toy, so let's say the child chose toy number 3, the technician removes that toy and repeats the procedure with the remaining 4. So now we have 2, 1, 4, and 5. What kind of assessment is this? A, multiple stimulus without replacement. Now, when we're going through preference assessments, you want to ask yourself, how many stimuli am I assessing at a time? If I'm assessing 1, it's probably going to be a single stimulus assessment. If I'm assessing 2, it's probably paired stimulus. 3 or more is typically going to be a multiple stimulus. And then free operant is going to be naturalistic. Well, here we have 5 total, and we are not replacing any of the stimuli. So it's going to be multiple stimulus without replacement. If we think about B, multiple stimulus, we do have multiple stimuli, but we are not replacing any of the stimuli. It isn't free operant because we are setting this up systematically, and it isn't paired stimulus because we're assessing more than 2 at a time. So if we just think about the term and the wording of that term and think about it critically, you can break this down fairly simply. If you've been studying a while and you're very fluent, then maybe this question was extremely easy for you. If that's the case, that's a great, great sign. A client has a difficult time transitioning from a preferred activity to a non-preferred activity, often engaging in elopement. A behavior analyst recommends that a timer be used to signal the end of the preferred activity and that a visual schedule be used to show the client what is coming next. This intervention strategy is primarily aimed at doing what? What are we trying to accomplish with these intervention strategies? We have a client, they're transitioning or they struggle transitioning, and they often elope or run away. The analyst says, let's use a timer to show them when the end of the activity is going to happen, and a visual schedule to show the client what is coming next. Now let's ask ourselves, this timer and this visual schedule, are they appearing prior to the elopement? They are. The timer is going off, or the timer is running prior to the end of the activity, and the schedule is always there to show what's happening next. So these are interventions taking place before the behavior. Now, when we have interventions before the behavior, we consider those antecedent interventions. Interventions after the behavior are consequence. Let's look at A. Are we trying to reduce the effectiveness of the preferred activity as a reinforcer? Well, no, there's no information to back up that we want to change this preferred activity. So A is just out. B, increasing the client's motivation for the non-preferred activity. We're not necessarily trying to get them more motivated for the non-preferred activity. We're just trying to prepare them for that transition. That's the idea here. C, altering the antecedent condition to prevent elopement. Yes, we are trying to give these antecedent interventions or antecedent manipulations to try to prevent elopement. We're trying to prepare the client for what is coming. Not saying they're going to be more interested in doing the non-preferred activity, but the hope is that we can prevent or at least reduce elopement through antecedent preparation. D, providing a competing response to the elopement. We aren't teaching a replacement. We're just trying to prevent it altogether. So this intervention strategy is primarily aimed at altering the antecedent conditions to prevent elopement. A new client, an adolescent with limited communication skills, is being assessed. During a meal, the client is observed reaching for a bag of chips. The behavior analyst provides the chips to the client. This is a form of what type of teaching? So we have our teaching question, and there are different types of teaching we use. Our two main ones are discrete trial teaching and naturalistic teaching. Everything else falls under those styles, right? If we're teaching generalization or maintenance or stimulus discrimination or task training, we're likely using some sort of naturalistic or discrete trial. In this case, an adolescent who has limited communication skills reaches for a bag of chips. The analyst provides chips to the client. Was this planned? Was the analyst aiming to teach how communication works or teach this client that if they reach, they get what they want? No. They used an incident that happened naturally to teach, which is going to make this naturalistic teaching. Why is it not discrete trial teaching? With discrete trial teaching, you've got to think of it as a very contrived, systematic, we set everything up, we control everything. This is not controlled. They're assessing it, and it happened to be a situation where the client reached for a bag of chips, and the behavior analyst used it as an opportunity to provide the chips to the client. It's most likely naturalistic teaching. Is it maintenance training? Well, it doesn't appear that they're maintaining or teaching them maintain the skill. We don't even know if they knew that skill before. So we can't say for sure it's maintenance training. And then receptive language training. Remember, receptive language training is hearing spoken language or seeing language and responding to it. So it's like following directions. Expressive is trying to communicate yourself, which that is not the case here. What likely or what is most likely happening here is A, naturalistic teaching. A child with a developmental disability is taught to match red objects during therapy using red blocks. Later, they are able to correctly match red apples, red cars, and red cups without further training. What process is most responsible for this outcome? Let's think about this, right? We have a child with a disability. They're taught to match red objects using red blocks. So they can match red to red using these red blocks, right? So they have a stimulus, the red blocks, and they match. Then what happens? They can match red apples. They can match red cars. They can match. So we have a stimulus and a response. They can match red apples. They can match red cars, and they can match red cups. Now, why did I make a mistake when I said they were doing new responses? Well, the responses hasn't changed. The response hasn't changed, right? They're still matching red objects. The objects are just different. So we have a situation where the response is staying the same. It's just generalizing across stimuli. So what do we call that? A, stimulus fading. Stimulus fading is not responsible for this. There was no further training, and we weren't fading out the stimuli. B, response generalization. Well, response generalization is what I originally was writing down incorrectly, where we have a single stimuli evoking multiple responses. Remember, with stimulus generalization, we have a single response happening in the presence of multiple stimuli. I make mistakes too. Everybody makes mistakes. That's why if you do make a mistake, you can't be too hard on yourself. It's going to happen. So just make the correction and move on. And then D, response maintenance. Well, we didn't teach them this, and they're just starting to do this. So maintenance is not necessarily the process responsible for that responsive matching, generalizing across so many different stimuli. Process most responsible is C, stimulus generalization. The child is learning to identify animals. When shown a picture of a lion and asked, "What is this?" the child says lion and receives praise. When shown a dog and asked the same question, the child says dog. What skill is developing? Okay, let's think about this. Our skill we're teaching animals. They get shown a picture of a lion and they say lion. Dog, they say dog. So they don't say dog with lion and they don't say lion with dog. What are they able to do? A, response generalization. Well, remember, response generalization occurs when a single stimulus evokes multiple responses. We have multiple stimuli here, right? Our stimulus is picture of lion and picture of dog. So they're not generalizing the response. What they're doing is discriminating between stimuli. They can discriminate between the picture of a lion and the picture of a dog or shown a dog. Again, stimulus fading. We're not fading out anything. We're not prompt fading, for example. And then D, response maintenance. Well, we don't know if we're maintaining this skill yet because we're still developing it and teaching it. So what this child is now able to do is discriminate between the stimulus of a lion and a dog. Thanks for watching. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials. When you pass your exam, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard,